Thank you very much for making a date on today's edition of The Marketplace. The Bank of Ghana has launched a new set of guidelines that will help better regulate trading and purchases of short-term government securities in the country. The manual was launched at the ongoing IMF World Bank annual meetings in Washington, D.C., and Joy Business's George Wiafe has the rest of the story.
The report launched brought together central bank governors in Africa, some global bank managing directors, international capital market players, as well as officials from the Bank of Ghana, the Ministry of Finance Ghana, and some players in the local market. Giving a brief about the guideline, Head of Financial Markets at the Bank of Ghana, Stephen Opata, said they should provide the required legal protection for every investor that participates in our local capital market.
This is a framework that will provide more legal clarity to those who want to use repos to get short-term funding. So this is a framework that clarifies the legality involved in that, so that there are no defaults. So it protects the lender from things like defaults, because as I did mention, they provide collateral, eligible collateral, and usually it should be liquid collateral, so that if for any reason they take the cash and they are not able to repay, then the person who has bought the collateral can just sell the collateral.
Speaking at the same event, First Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Maxwell Opoku-Afari, noted that this should position the country as having a well-developed market for the required investment.
The adoption of these guidelines, I believe, will not only ensure legal certainty and enforceability, but will also improve the market transparency, liquidity, and participation. In conjunction with the development of these guidelines, Ghana is in the process of getting a corporate insolvency bill passed, and the Bank of Ghana will issue a notice to clarify the eligibility of netting arrangements under the Current Banks and Specialized Deposit-Taking Institution Act. This will make Ghana only the third netting positive jurisdiction in Africa, and we look forward to the positive effect this will have on our economy.
Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, who officially launched the guidelines, noted that it couldn't have come at a better time.
In Ghana, repos and reverse repos serve as effective instruments for the conduct of monetary policy operations by the central bank. As at the end of August 2019, the stock of repos and reverse repos outstanding between the Bank of Ghana and the commercial banks was equivalent to $350 million. When properly structured, repos are effective vehicles for the monetary policy transmission process and can serve as a vehicle through which the central bank can act more swiftly as a lender of last resort during periods of market stress.
Speaking to Joy Business after the launch, Deputy Managing Director of Fidelity Bank, Sam Edu, said this should help improve liquidity in the banking sector.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think if you look at a bank like ours, we hold about 3 billion or in excess of 3 billion in government securities. Up until today, I could only use that to borrow overnight. Now, this is providing me a framework that allows me to borrow using the same securities for slightly longer than overnight. And I think also corporates stand to benefit if corporates can use or deploy their excess liquidity into government securities and then use that as a basis to.
Meanwhile, the Bank of Ghana says its new set of guidelines on purchases of government securities would help stabilize the cedi and possibly reduce the cost of credit in the country. The manual was launched on the ongoing IMF World Bank meetings.
Framework that will provide more legal clarity to those who want to use repos to get short-term funding. So this is a framework that clarifies the legality involved in that, so that there are no defaults. So it protects the lender from things like defaults, because as I did mention, they provide collateral, eligible collateral, and usually it should be liquid collateral, so that if for any reason they take the cash and they are not able to repay, then the person who has bought the collateral can just sell the collateral.
Why has this become very necessary on the part of the Bank of Ghana? Because before this, you were still having repo deals and arrangement going on. Is it because you want to lift it up to more of international standards or to attract more investors?
Yes, we want to globally in very developed markets. They do repos under a Global Master Repurchase Agreement framework because it's internationally accepted and the rules are very clear. So we want to open our market for more liquidity to attract not just local investors but foreign investors, to create liquidity not just in the short-term money markets but across the entire bond market, and as you rightly said, and even extend it to the equities market. By equities, I'm talking about the stock exchange. So it's a matter of liquidity to make our financial markets more liquid but safe, so that we can attract investors on a cheaper cost of funding. So it's also about cost of funding. We want to translate this so that government is able to borrow at a lower rate because there's legal certainty. Financial institutions are also able to get short-term cash at a lower rate because there's legal certainty. So this is a significant event for our markets, and we expect all those who want to be part to come.
Back in Ghana, it's been almost a month since Nigeria closed its border with its neighbor Benin. This has resulted in halting of activities of many haulage trucks as well as some exporters. The Association of Ghana Industries, AGI, has meanwhile dispatched a delegation to Nigeria for dialogue on the best way out of the trade impasse. Charles IT has been assessing the impact of this situation on traders and now reports.
These haulage trucks have all been grounded for weeks. Drivers here tell Joy Business the closure of the Nigerian-Benin border has rendered them jobless.
Just because of they close the border, so you can't go. So we came back to house and then we are waiting the time they are going to open the border.
Richard heads the Accra-Lagos bus station at Tudu in the central business district of Accra. His job routine is endless as drivers commute to and from the Accra-Lagos route on a 24-hour basis. But he had to cut short work hours since the closure of the Nigeria-Benin border. With the number of cargoes grounded, most petty traders who patronize the bus station are changing their routes.
The ones that are going from Ghana here to Nigeria, some of them, even most of them are parked at the borders there. They cannot go inside, they can't go in, and some, the ones that are coming in cannot go, they cannot come. So it's affecting business a lot.
It all happened in August when Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari ordered a partial closure of the border with Benin to check smuggling of cheap goods into Nigeria. The trucks that you see all around me are fully fitted trucks with goods in them, but they cannot move. They're grounded for now. Why? Because their main route, which is from Ghana to Nigeria and that of Benin, has been closed down. This has had a toll on their businesses, and they're just grounded, waiting for authorities of Nigeria to act in opening up the border. Here in Accra, the Association of Ghana Industries, AGI, has organized an emergency general meeting to strategize in the wake of this looming threat to local exporters. Sechuma Kwabwa is Chief Executive Officer of the association.
Those ones, it must be free for all. So I think we should work with those principles. We can't have a country strategy that runs counter to the regional strategy.
Meanwhile, the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, is pushing for the immediate closure of the eastern border to forestall possible cases of smuggling following weeks of the closure of the Semi-Kraki, Igolo and Iduroko borders by Nigerian authorities. Here's President of the association, Dr. Joseph Oben.
Now the borders have been closed to Benin, to ship goods. The abundance of these products that have been shipped already are not going to go back to Europe, Asia, or wherever it came from. It's going to find its way into Ghana. It's also going to be smuggled to affect the same economy. These are the areas that you have to look. And that Ghana, as the authorities, as a matter of urgency, should also shut down the Eastern Corridor.
So far, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration has appealed to Ghanaian traders to remain calm as it works with the Nigerian authorities to ease its ban on the exportation of non-traditional products into Ghana. In a statement on Tuesday, the ministry said it emphasizes with the traders who have to deal with the ban and the closure of the Semi-Kraki, Igolo and Iduroko borders without prior notice to the ECOWAS member state. Even as Ghana has won the access to be the secretariat of the Continental Free Trade Agreement with thousands, if not billions of US dollars in exchange of hands, threats from protectionist economies like that of Nigeria and South Africa are potential bloom beds to the entire issue of how successful the Continental Free Trade Agreement could be in the future. For Joy Business, I'm Charles Aite reporting.
Meanwhile, the Foreign Minister Shirley Ayoko Botwi and Trade Minister Chair Alan Chemanting have met with their Nigerian counterparts and asked for a more structured response to deal with the issue.
Two countries that show brotherly collaboration and love is Ghana and Nigeria. Everybody knows. It's only when it comes to football that sometimes the friction becomes more intense. But and I'm saying this with all seriousness. I mean, but occasionally, you know, in business, you may have challenges that come up. The important thing is to have a formula for dealing with challenges when they come up, as we are trying to do. So it is true that recently there were some challenges. I personally led the delegations to the area, and it was just a very specific area. This is not something that things were all over the place in the whole country, just in one particular area, in one sector. And interestingly, I led a delegation of some colleagues of mine to deal with, and immediately we started talking. You know, the problem was dissolving by the minute. You know, and that is why you have not heard, apart from what came up in the news, you know, that but any country that has a vibrant media, as we do have both in Nigeria and in Ghana, you can see sometimes what you hear may not necessarily reflect, you know, what is actually on the ground. So we continue working in harmony and collaboration. When issues arise, we sit and talk, and that is why you can see that there's no tension. But we need, within the context of ECOWAS, to try and deal in a more structured way with some of these challenges. You referred to the law. Yes, there's domestic legislation in our country that basically has been the basis for the representation that has been made by the Ghanaian traders. On the side of the Nigerian traders, they've also made references to the ECOWAS protocol, which also has provisions that support the case made. So this is basically a situation between local legislation and when these things occur, you sit and talk, and then.
And in response, Nigeria's Foreign Affairs Minister Geoffrey Onyeama said the move is not targeted at any country but criminals.
I think the first thing to say in response to this, we're within ECOWAS, we respect the ECOWAS rules, free movement of persons and goods, and that should continue. This is it's targeting criminal activities, you know, not countries, and so I think that has to be clear. So, you know, in addressing a particular country's issue, it will not be a disadvantage to any other country, because for us it's really just a measure to address a particular mischief. In terms of timelines, you know, we're getting there with regards to the mischief that we want to address, but clearly there's going to be flexibility to maintain the spirit and the rules of ECOWAS, and that's what we're trying to do with Ghana, to find solutions to particular challenges that we're facing.
Away from trade now, the Communications Service tax continues to generate some debate among various stakeholders with regards to the mode of implementation of the tax. The Ministry of Communications last week directed that the tax be treated like the VAT, the NHIL and the Get Fund levy. But what does this exactly mean, and will it change anything? A tax consultant and legal practitioner, William Usu Dimetia, spoke on the business edition of PM Express on JoyNews last night.
If you are buying an item and that item suffers VAT, you are required by law to pay the VAT on that item. Okay, so that is what it simply means. If you do not consume the item, you do not suffer the tax that has been imposed. And so if you are not a user of electronic communication service, and if you only use private electronic communication services, you do not suffer communication service tax. That is what it simply means. So the statement by the ministry, and again, it creates a bit of a difficulty with the understanding. How VAT works is that there are what we call place of supply issues. So for example, if I buy a scratch card, the law says that if you buy a scratch card, the time for the supplier or the time when VAT ought to be collected is as soon as you buy the scratch card, even if you haven't used it for purposes of making the call. So if you buy a scratch card of say 10 Ghana cedis, the VAT component on it ought to be computed, and by the last working day of the following month, whoever sold that card to you is supposed to account for it to GRA. That is how it works. Same idea with communication service tax. Now, the mechanics of implementing is what I believe the Communication Ministry and the mobile network operators are a bit haggling over. But I do not really see the controversy because the law is clear. It's either you pay over the tax and you collect it back piecemeal, or you decide to deduct it upfront and pay it over to the Revenue Authority. Either way, it achieves the same purpose.
Now, Fun Milk Limited, one of the leading producers of ice cream in the country, has outdoored its new coconut and pineapple flavored Cocoa Pine onto the market. Brand's manager Abdul Razak says the new ice cream is sizable and meets customers' expectations.
It's the outdooring of the new product Cocoa Pine, coconut and pineapple flavored ice cream from the farmer company. Let's have the brand's manager Abdul Razak to give us some further details on why they are doing this mega outdooring of the ice cream at La Paz today. Welcome to Joy Business.
Thank you very much.
Yes, tell us why this whole outdooring in this grand style.
Okay, so at Fun Milk, the consumer is at the center of everything we do. So we are always innovating to meet the consumer's need. We have launched Cocoa Pine. It's a new addition to the Fun Yogo range to give consumers more choice, more variety, more options. It's a coconut and pineapple flavored yogurt. Cocoa Pine, it comes in a bigger 180 ml pack, and it comes in a nice blend of coconut and pineapple flavor. It's available all over Ghana. You can get it from our vendors. You can also get it from the malls, the full marts, and it's just a new addition to give consumers more variety. It has a goodness of frozen yogurts, but it comes in a unique blend of coconut and pineapple to give consumers more variety.
How much is this one going for?
It is going for 1 CD, 80 pesos for the 180 ml big pack.
Why choose this mode of outdooring for this particular flavor?
So Fun Milk, we sell our products basically on the streets through vendors. So what better way to launch it than to come onto the streets with a float to bring it closer to consumers. That is the basic thinking behind doing this float, to launch the product on the streets, aligned to how we do our business. Our business model is basically based on vendors selling on the streets. So we thought there's no better way to bring it closer to consumers than to come on the streets.
Business for 2019, how is it going so far?
Business is quite okay. We know the economy is tough, but business has been okay so far. We are hoping to close the year well. And at Fun Milk, we are constantly innovating. Next year, we have a couple of launches coming up, new launches coming up, which we know consumers are going to embrace as well. And we hope it goes well.
So what do you make of this new Fun Yogo?
It's so delicious. It's very good, very good. It tastes nice. Because of the pineapple there. It's very, very nice.
So do you frequently buy Fun Milk, Fun Yogo, Fun Choco?
No, actually. I'm not a fan of this kind of thing. But I think this will lure me to be buying it because it's very nice.
After taking it, where do you think you should keep this particular sachet?
If on the road, I'll put it inside my pocket. When I reach home, I'll put it in the dustbin.
My man is enjoying the new product already. So let's talk. What do you make of this new flavor?
In fact, when I see them walking around, I haven't tasted some before, but this is my first time. After tasting, I would like to collect millions of them. It's very marvelous.
With me, Fred Zuho, for Joy Business.
The Cashew Industry Association of Ghana, CIAG, has dismissed suggestions blaming the reduction of prices of raw cashew nuts this year on the senior minister Yaosafo Marfo's statements made at a ceremony in March this year. According to his executive secretary, Aaron Achian, the statement that government will not allow cashew buyers to export raw cashew did not have any effect on the low pricing of the commodity. Speaking to JoyNews in Wenchi, Aaron Achian explains cashew and nut buyers from India were reluctant to come down to Ghana to purchase the commodity due to the electioneering activities in that country. Nesta Kafria-Joma filed the following report from Wenchi in the Bono region.
This year, the price of raw cashew nuts per kilo has dropped from 8 Ghana cedis to as low as 2 Ghana cedis and even 1 Ghana cedis in some parts of Bono Ahafo and Bono East regions. While some blame it on wrong policy direction, the Cashew Industry Association of Ghana believes it is misleading.
It is very true that this year the price of cashew was very low, all-time low. And from our point of view, this problem has not been created by anybody in the country, like how some farmers or some people are saying, but I'll say that these were factors that were beyond this country.
The executive secretary of the Cashew Industry Association of Ghana, Aaron Achian, further said that even though the price of cashew nuts has been very low this year, farmers have sold all their produce. He consequently challenged anyone who still has the commodity available to come out.
As I speak now, there is nobody who has cashew. This is the first time that all cashews have been sold in this country. In fact, yesterday I had a call from somebody outside the country. I mean, it's these Indians, and the person is looking for 25,000 tons of cashew. So, like you are saying, I also heard somewhere from Banda also. If it is true that they have cashew, we are looking for over 30,000 tons of cashew. If they have it, they should contact me, the SIAC. They should contact SIAC immediately. We'll come and pick all the cashew that they have.
The CIAG, according to Aaron Achian, is currently working to introduce cashew farmers to the cultivation of a special breed of ginger and turmeric in their farms to reduce over-reliance on the cashew.
And that will be it for the marketplace today. Many thanks for your company throughout the week. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. Let's meet again, same time next Monday. Have a great weekend.